welcome to the Alumni House. This is Quacker. This is a week 3 review episode for college football, college baseball. I really went back in time there. So college baseball review for week 3, and we're going to look ahead to week 4 in college baseball. We'll start off with just a little bit of news here. It's not much, but if I can get back to the top here. Rice is embroiled in a legal dispute with Tennessee's Blaine Brown. Blaine played on the team last year at Rice. This is nothing to do with eligibility. This is all to do with NIL stuff. So we're seeing more and more NIL like suits from schools and collectives. They're starting to really come after some of these athletes to hold them accountable for the contracts they've signed. Looks like this one here. Blaine Brown, he's a 6'5", 200 pound 2A player playing at Tennessee. 2A player means he plays, he pitches and he plays in the field and bats. So he signed I think a 3-year deal with Rice. With the collective that Rice has. Is called the South Main Collective. It was a 3-year deal. The first year he was received $20,000 during his freshman year, with the ability to make upwards of $256,000 during his remaining 2 seasons with the Owls. The total amount of the deal could have reached $345,000, provided Brown graduated from Rice and fulfilled some incentives, including media appearances, fan engagement, and ball signings among them. According to this report, the most intriguing incentive Brown could have earned during his time at Rice, per the documents received, was a $50,000 bonus for a promotional appearance, autographed baseballs, and social media video recordings during should Rice win the national title. The way Rice has been playing over the last few years, that really is not something that they had to worry about. I hate to say that, but I mean Rice has not been that same program that we remember from the 90s and early 2000s, mid 2000s. Where they are a dominant baseball program. Like I said it last week, they won the first national title after the College World Series swapped to the 3-game set. But we haven't seen that out of Rice since Wayne Graham retired. I think like 2015, maybe 2016 was the last year that we saw Rice have a really good season. Since then, they have been down. But they have entered arbitration. Blaine Brown and the South Main Collective have. According to some sources familiar with it, Blaine was willing to repay whatever he needed to just to make this go away. South Main said no. The article on D1 Baseball said that they reached out to South Main Collective and South Main would not respond. This is a situation, and they point this out in here, and I forgot that this had happened, but Rice fired their coach last year. Let's see, his name's in the article here. It was Jose Cruz Jr. So they fired him in the middle of the season, and most of the time when a coach is fired, um, the players have the right to transfer without any kind of penalties and stuff. So they were at the point should that have nullified the rest of the deal. Um, we'll see what arbitration says. Um, but this is something we're starting to see. You saw with these lawsuits and now arbitration. I think this is the first one we've seen go to arbitration like this. But you had Duke sued their quarterback Darian Mensah. He had just agreed to NIL deal worth more than $7 million over 2 years. He decided to transfer to Miami like in the 11th hour. They attempted to block it and sued him. It says they eventually reached a settlement. We just talked about the other day when Matt and I were on. University of Cincinnati has filed a breach of contract lawsuit against quarterback Brendan Sorsby. He transferred to Texas Tech, and so they have sued him for the buyout that he refused to pay. This is another one from 2025 where Georgia sued defensive end Damian Wilson. Wilson started out at Georgia, had a NIL contract with them, and he left for Missouri. So they sued when he went to Missouri. He has since countersued Georgia, so that one's still up in the air. But so we're starting to see some schools in collectives kind of push back against these players just willy-nilly transferring like they have been. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, if they'll make it public. They may not make it public. But the fact that we're starting to see some of these schools and stuff push back makes you wonder what the face of the NIL and stuff will look like going forward. This be interesting to keep an eye on for sure. All right, so that's kind of all I kind of had for the news portion of this. We'll jump right into the results from last week, and I'll kind of do like we did last week. I'll just kind of go through the top 25, then I'll jump into the conferences and kind of look at what happened in the conferences. So last week, UCLA was number 1. They had a 3-1 week. They lost to San Diego State in their midweek, and then they swept the classic they were at. They played Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. Then Mississippi State played a instant classic. It went to extras. They hit a walk-off home run in the I think the 10th inning or 11th inning to win that one against State. LSU, they're number 2, 11-1 record. They had a 3-1 week as well. They lost to McNeese during the midweek, and then they had a lackluster performance against Dartmouth. They swept Dartmouth, but it was lackluster. The bats are kind of silent right now. You hate to see that for a team with this much talent. It's still early. They can get things turned around, but they have since they lost last night to Northeastern 13-10, and last I saw tonight they were losing another midweek game. So it's not midweeks have not been kind to LSU at the start of the season. So they got to get that figured out quick, because they're fixing to start dropping in the polls. If you lose too much in the midweek, and it's going to hurt their RPI as well. Number 3, Texas. They went. They're 11-0. 4-0 week last week. They were in Houston at a a classic there. I forget what the name of the classic was, but they won that one. Mississippi State at the time of this was put out 11-1, 3-1 week. Of course, they lost to UCLA. Georgia Tech 11-1, 3-1 record for the week. They lost to Georgia State 9-4. Then they swept Northwestern. None of the scores were even close. Arkansas 9-3, but they had a 3-2 week last week. They lost to Arkansas State 12-4, and then they lost to UT Arlington in the opening. It looks like the second game. Maybe the first. They had they played Arkansas State twice. They played them 2 games. They lost 1. They won 1. Okay, that's what it was. The way this is written out, it was kind of hard to tell what they were trying to say here. Auburn 9-2 record overall, 3-1. They lost to Nebraska in the first game, 9-8, and then they handled business the rest of the way. North Carolina 11-1, 5-0 record last week. Now, they didn't really play anybody last week. The hardest team they played was probably VCU, and they beat them 13-3. The last game they won was a 21-1 victory over Lemoyne. None of those games were even close. All those games ended at 10-1 rule. Coastal Carolina, not a good week at all for them. 7-4 record, 2-2. They lost to Texas 8-1. They lost to UTSA 16-10. They did beat Ole Miss 9-2. They were in one of those classics in, I believe that was in Houston as well. Yeah, that was Houston. That's the same because they lost to Texas. Florida, they're 11-1, 4-0 on the week. They beat Miami in a 2-game set. Looks like they beat FIU in a 2-game set. Georgia, they're 10-2, 4-1 record last week. They lost to Troy 6-5, and they swept Oakland. Southern Miss 10-1, 4-0 in the week. They 10-run ruled Alabama, and then they swept Louisiana Tech with a 10-run rule victory in there as well. Oklahoma 10-2 with the 3-2 record for the week. They lost to Arizona State, which is no shame in that. And then they lost a closeout game to Gonzaga, where Gonzaga avoided the sweep. NC State, they had a 5-0 week for them. They beat Richmond 27-0. It's a real cardiac-inducing game there. Beat Akron 18-3. All these scores were just 10-run rules. Unless the schools just didn't have a 10-run rule in effect. I mean, the Richmond game that they may not have, but none of these scores are even close. NC State, they're 10-1 overall. Clemson 10-1, 3-1 record. On the week, they lost to South Carolina in the first game of the weekend series, but they won the series. Wake Forest 5-0 week, 11-1 record overall. Miami 10-2 on the season, 1-2 for the week. They beat FAU and then lost the 2 games to Florida. TCU 6-5, 4-0 on the week though, so a nice bounce back week for them. Oregon State 6-4, 2-1 week. They beat Houston, lost to Alabama, and beat Iowa. Tennessee 8-3, 3-1 record on the week. They lost to UCLA. Again, UCLA is the number 1 team in the country. They're playing as good as anybody in the country right now. Florida State 8-2, 4-0 week. Again, they didn't really play anybody. No resume RPI builders there for them. Kentucky 9-2, 4-0 week. They beat Western Kentucky 13-9, and they swept St. John's, but it was 3-1, 3-0, 3-1. wow. Um, Either St. John's has some really good pitching, and they were able to limit Kentucky's offense, or Kentucky just maybe their offense isn't all that good. That remains to be seen. Texas A&M 9-1 record, 2-1 over for the week. There was one game that wasn't played at least at the time of this. They beat Lamar 25-5. Beat Virginia Tech 10-0. Lost UCLA 11-1. It just says Arizona State TBD. They may have to make that game up. I'm not sure. West Virginia 8-2, 3-1 for the week. And then Ole Miss 10-2 and 2-2 in the week. They lost to Baylor and Coastal Carolina. They beat Ohio State, and they beat Southeast Missouri. So that's the top 25. That was their week last week. We'll kind of hop into some of the conferences here and just kind of one moment. Here we go. All right, my computer's being slow, so y'all forgive me here. All right, so some of this we talked about. Virginia in the ACC. Come on. Just the only thing about the way the way college baseball is covered, you can't just see like an overview of the week by the conferences. You have to click on each individual team or whatever. So Virginia, their weekend series, they played VCU. They had a sweep of the weekend series. They beat George Washington University 11-0 on Wednesday. They played Charlotte last night, lost 14-0. Wow. But they turned around tonight and beat them 8-1. Excuse me. Let's see. Boston College. All right, so looks like their weekend, their midweek game was canceled. Their weekend series, they lost the weekend series. They beat Florida Gulf Coast on Friday night, but then they lost the final two games to Florida Gulf Coast. But then they turn around and they have two midweek games against FIU, and they beat them both times. So not a great weekend for Boston College, but nice bounce back for them. We're not going to just talk about every team in all the conferences here, but that would be way too much here. Notre Dame, they played Tennessee Tech this weekend. Well, actually, they played. Looks like they played in some kind of classic or something this weekend, because they played Alabama A&M on Friday night. They beat them 19-2. They played Illinois Chicago Saturday beat them 14-3. Sunday they played Tennessee Tech, beat them 11-0, and then last night they played Eastern Michigan and beat them 11-1. That was back in South Bend. Saw another one I'll go to here, Duke, and this will be the last ACC team we talk about from this weekend. They played Princeton. They played Princeton in a 4-game series. So they beat them the first 3 games. They had a doubleheader on Saturday, so then they lost the closeout game on Sunday 8-7, and then last night to beat Gardner Webb 15-3. And they play next up. They play Notre Dame. So this ought to be a pretty good series there. Duke is 12-3 overall to start the season. They're not ranked, but good start to the season for them. And they had a pretty good ball team last year. I remember watching the ACC tournament game between them and North Carolina. It was a very back and forth game. They had a lot of pop in there that last year. Notre Dame is 7-3. Duke is 12-3. That should be a pretty good series this weekend. Definitely one to kind of keep an eye on, especially if you like offense. All right, the American. Let's hop into the American here. Florida Atlantic, they're 6-6 overall. Charlotte, we'll go to them. They're 8-3. I remember watching Charlotte play when they were in Conference USA. I saw them quite a bit for a few years there. Let's see. Over the weekend, they had a game canceled. They played what would have been a 3-game set against Old Dominion. The first game got canceled on Friday night. They played the final 2 games, won both of those. Looks like they had a 10-run rule game on Saturday. And then they, like I said, they had a 14-0 win against Virginia on yesterday, and then they lost tonight 8-1 to Virginia. And they'll play this weekend. They'll play Radford on Friday. It is Saturday and Sunday. They'll play Western Carolina. So I'm not sure why they're only playing a 1 game on a Friday, like not a full series like that. Let's see. South Florida has got a 10-3 record. Let's see how they did this weekend here. All right, so South Florida this weekend, they played a 3-game set against UCF. They won the series 2-1. They played a doubleheader on Saturday. They probably did that because of weather. But they won the first 2 games on Saturday, and they lost the closeout game on Sunday 2-1 to UCF. And then they played Stetson last night and beat them 12-4. This weekend they'll play a 3-game set against Southern University, which is an HBCU out of Baton Rouge. They're kind of on the that's the I want to say it's the west side of Baton Rouge, but I can't remember. Like I know how to get there, but I can't remember like exactly the directions and all you go. Like just off top, like I could drive there right now, but I couldn't just. I can't remember all the names of the roads and stuff to pull that out of my head. Tulane, they're normally a pretty good program. They started out 8-5 on the season. This past weekend they played Eastern Kentucky. Looks like they won the weekend series. They won 2-1 against Eastern Kentucky. Then they lost to Nichols last night, 6-5. Nichols is they're a pretty good team. They beat Southern tonight. Southern's only second loss of the season. They beat them 3-2. So they have pretty good pitching from what I saw. UTSA, we'll talk about them, and we'll cover Rice because we opened up with the story about Rice. So UTSA, they're 11-1 on the season. They played in that Classic this past weekend. So they let's see, they lost to Texas. Texas State was their first loss of the season. Then they beat Ohio State 6-5. They beat Coastal Carolina 16-10. They beat Baylor 11-6, and then last night they beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi 7-5. And they will play a 3-game set against New Mexico, which is a Conference USA opponent. They'll play them on this weekend in New Mexico. Las Cruces, New Mexico. And then they have a 2-game matchup against Texas Tech during the midweek. So that ought to be pretty interesting right there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching a couple of those games. All right, now so we're going to look at Rice. Rice is 6-6 on the season. So they played a 3-game set against Harvard. They lost to Houston Christian on the Tuesday night game, 11-8. Then they swept Harvard. Harvard is, I think they were like 0-6 on the season. So three-game sweep against Harvard, and they beat Lamar University today 4-1. And this weekend they'll play Abilene Christian in Abilene. So I did not realize Lamar University was in Beaumont, Texas. I didn't know that Beaumont had a. So Rice is 7-6 overall. I didn't realize Beaumont had a university in it. So we'll go to Conference USA here. If I can get to it. Let's see, Liberty. We'll talk about them real quick. Liberty. They won their weekend series against Hofstra. It looks like they swept them. They did. They beat High Point on Wednesday night, 9-3. A sweep of Hofstra over the weekend, and they played High Point again last night and beat them 8-0. So let's see, they're 8-3 overall. They'll play Harvard this weekend, so probably another sweep for this weekend. They'll play UNC Greensboro, and then they'll get into conference play next weekend against Missouri State. So yeah, that's we've got one weekend left of non-conference weekend series, and then we're going to get right into right into conference play. Let's see, Middle Tennessee. They're 9-4. Let's see. All right, so the weekend series, they played Illinois State. They played Tennessee Tech on Tuesday, beat them 11-1. They played Illinois State for the weekend series, beat them 2-1. And then last night they played Murray State, won that one 5-2, and they lost tonight to Belmont University, which is just right down the road in Nashville. Lost to them 8-7. They'll play UAB this weekend. which used to be a opponent of theirs when UAB was in Conference USA. So that'd be a somewhat familiar, at least for the fan base. This would be a familiar matchup for them. And then they'll pop into a game against Eastern Kentucky before they open up their conference play. All right, we'll talk about Dallas Baptist, and then we'll hop into Sun Belt, and then we'll close out with the SEC. Dallas Baptist, they played Air Force this weekend. I watched some of the closeout game in that one. It was a really good game. It was a high scoring game. So they actually played. They played a weird. It's two. They played two teams over four, and I'll explain it here in a second. They played UT Arlington on Tuesday, beat them 6-1, and then they had a 4-game series, but it was against two different teams. So they played Oral Roberts, which is a university out of Oklahoma, and they played Air Force. So Thursday night they played Oral Roberts, beat them 6-5. On Friday night they played Air Force, beat them 15-11. Saturday they played Oral Roberts again and lost 8-6. And then Sunday they played Air Force, beat them 16-5. And then last night, and I watched the end of this game, they played Oklahoma and lost 2-0. And then they'll play the Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajuns this weekend in Dallas. Normally Dallas Baptist is one of the schools. They're a Conference USA school that I would normally kind of pull for. They weren't in the conference when Southern Miss was in the conference. I always respected the program. They have a really good baseball program. I really respect their program. Obviously, when they were playing Air Force this weekend, I was pulling for Air Force. I'm going to pull for service academies unless you're playing like Southern Miss or one of the teams that I really really pull for. But then it's begrudgingly pulling against the service academy. They got down a couple of times and they never flinched. I mean, they got a good baseball program. They're always right there. In postseason play. All right, so we're gonna hop into the Sun Belt when I can get to it. Let's see. I gotta be getting close. There we go. All right. So we'll start off with Coastal Carolina. Of course, they were ranked number 9 last week. Did not have a good week. Let's see. All right, yeah, they played Campbell University on Tuesday, beat them 13-7. They lost to Texas, lost to UTSA. They beat Ole Miss on Tuesday 9-2, and then on Sunday. I'm sorry, and then they lost to NC State last night 6-4. This weekend they'll play Eastern Carolina. East Carolina's got a pretty good baseball program. That should be a very good matchup between these two schools. I know that Coastal has got a couple pitchers that are out because of some elbow injuries and stuff like that. So we'll see. If this lives up to the height that it could be. I don't think it will, just because of the injuries and stuff. And they've kind of been playing up and down at the start of the season. But they're a solid program. And with Eastern Carolina being right there, and them is such a solid program. I hope that's a very good series for the weekend. let's see. We'll hop into. We'll talk about Louisiana Lafayette here. They played UC San Diego. Let's see. ULL is 10-3 overall. Let's see. On midweeks, they played Kansas State for 2 game set. They beat them both games. And they played them in Louisiana. I'm surprised they got Lafayette. They got Kansas State to travel to Lafayette, but they got them there. UC San Diego. They lost the first game, won the next 2, and then tonight they beat LSU 7-2. So I had said that LSU was not doing good last I saw, and they definitely didn't finish it off. So LSU struggling here in midweeks. I guess they got to get their pitching figured out there. Let's see. I hate that he's jumping away. Let's see, South Alabama. They played West Georgia over the weekend. South Alabama also has a 10-3 record. They lost to Tulane on Wednesday night. They beat Southeastern Louisiana on Tuesday night. They actually traveled to Hammond for that one. Then they played West Georgia for a 3 game set over the weekend. That was a sweep. They actually beat West Georgia 21-6 on Saturday. And then last night they played UAB, beat them 11-1. They played that one in Montgomery. And let's see, this weekend they play La Tech. So that should be a good weekend matchup here. La Tech's got a very good team. They got swept this past weekend, but good team. They're tough. I think this will be a fun matchup to watch. So definitely have to kind of keep an eye on that one. All right, let's see. Let's see. We'll hit Texas State, and then we'll talk about Southern Miss again real quick. And we need to talk about Arkansas State because they've got a really good record to start the season as well. So Texas State, they are 9-2 overall. Let's see. On Tuesday night they beat UTSA, which was UTSA's first loss of the season. And then over the weekend they played Abilene Christian. This is another one of those weird where they played Abilene, Tarleton, and Abilene again. Not really sure why we have series like that, but that's what they did. And then this weekend, starting tomorrow, they're playing Washington State in a 4 game set there in San Marcos. That'll be interesting. A 4 game set. Washington State, I'm sure they just, because they're independent, so they're having to just kind of play what they can get. All right, let's see. Arkansas State, they played Arkansas Pine Bluff this weekend. Arkansas State's got an 11-3 record here at the start of the season. Let's see. Midweek, they beat Arkansas 12-4. This is at Arkansas too, and so they beat them 12-4 on Tuesday night. Then they came back and lost to Arkansas 1-0 on Wednesday night. Then they played a 3 game set against Arkansas Pine Bluff over the weekend. It was a 3 game sweep. And then they played a 2 game series against Louisiana Tech. They played those in Ruston, went in and won both of those games. So Louisiana Tech's on a 5-game losing streak right now. I did not realize that. So, and they lost 5 straight at home. That's rough. Oh, I didn't say who they were going to play next. Sorry about that. Let's go back. Let's see. They'll play Oral Roberts in Oklahoma. That's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they'll play that 3-game series starting Friday. And then they'll play Little Rock the Tuesday night. And then they open up conference play at home against Southern Miss the following weekend. But we'll talk about that as it gets closer. Now we're going to jump over to Southern Miss because it's Southern Miss and they're doing really well right now. All right, so Southern Miss, they're 11-3. They just had their second loss of the season tonight. That coming off the game they had last night to lose tonight was really tough. But so they had a pretty good week. They swept the week. They beat Alabama 14-4. 10-run ruled them there. Of course, they went into Ruston to the Love Shack, beat La Tech 3-game sweep, and then came home. Hosted Mississippi State last night. It was the top 10 matchup, number 4 versus number 10. I was seeing all over Twitter. There's people all over the country that were watching. It's really cool. So they missed with the win last night, 7-6, and then hosted Nichols tonight and lost 3-2. I don't know when Nichols dropped the state part because it used to be Nichols State. It's really weird not hearing Nichols State when you say the whole name because it was Nichols State for so long. So this weekend they'll play North Alabama. This is in Hattiesburg. I was kind of looking at going to one of the games, but the outside of Friday, it's going to be a lot of rain. So they have to get these games in when they can. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go this weekend or not. They'll play Ole Miss in Hattiesburg on Tuesday, and then of course, like I said just a minute ago, they'll open up conference play against Arkansas State, and then they get another chance against Nichols. But this time they play them in Biloxi. So yeah, they're playing. They're until tonight they were the hottest team in the country. Number 1 RPI, number 1 hardest strength of schedule. There was a lot of people saying that they should maybe be ranked number 1 in the country. They're not. They're number 10, number 8 in perfect game. And this one loss won't hurt them too much. It may drop their RPI a little bit, but I mean Nichols, I think they're like 6 or maybe 7-5 now. So not the best start to the season, but baseball's a funny sport. Like you lose sometimes when you wouldn't think you would. And it coming off of a big win like they did last night, top 10 matchup. It's Southern Miss. They're a older team, but they still they still have some growing pains, I guess would be the best way to put it, to to kind of get through for early part of the season. I mean, you have to learn how to come off these big wins and turn around and do it again. And Nichols, to their credit, I mean, they played exceptional tonight. I mean, they went out and were lighting it up with pitching and defense, and their offense did just enough. They had one big inning And by one big inning, I mean they scored like 2 runs in the inning. So and Southern just they had their chances, but the pitching for the pitching for Nichols was good enough that it kept it kept the Eagles off balance, and congratulations to Nichols for the win. I hate it for my team, but that's baseball. SEC, we're not gonna spend too much time on the SEC because most of them are in the top 25, and we pretty much covered them. Let's see. Let's see if there's the top 20. Let's see, Vanderbilt. Let's see, they're not in the top 25, which is weird, but they don't have a good. They're not having a good season right now. They're 8-6 overall. Let's see. They had a terrible week last week. They beat Evansville 15-3, and then they went to one of those classics and they lost to UC Irvine, Arizona, and Oregon. And then last night they lost to Central Arkansas before finally bouncing back tonight and beating Troy. So they were in Las Vegas at the classic in Las Vegas. Sorry, my throat's getting dry. So, not the start that that you would have wanted there in Nashville if you're a fan of the Doors. Let's see, like I said, most of these teams are in the top 25. Alabama, they're 10-3. They're not ranked. Let's see. All right, here we go. Come on. Yeah. So they lost to Southern Miss on Tuesday night, 10-run rule. Then they went to Frisco, played in the Frisco Classic. They beat Iowa, beat Oregon State, lost to Houston. And then their midweeks for this week, they beat Jacksonville State and Alabama State. And they will play University of North Florida this weekend for the weekend series. And they'll play Troy on Tuesday before they open up conference play, and they'll open up on the road. I don't think I told y'all who Vanderbilt's playing this weekend. Let me hop back over to them real quick, and that'll be all of the scores and kind of preview for the following, for this week that we'll do. I'll go over the current top 25, and then we'll kind of close out. So Troy, they're playing the Bisons of North Dakota State. Troy. I'm sorry, Vanderbilt. They play Troy tonight. Vanderbilt is playing North Dakota State Bisons, and then they'll play Indiana State on Tuesday before they open up conference play against LSU in Nashville. Nice little homestand for the Vandy boys here. They won't go on the road again until the Friday, March 20th. So, nice homestand here for them. All right, let's hop on to the top 25. And then we'll kind of close it out for the night. See, top 25. This is the current top 25. Number 1, UCLA. Number 2, LSU. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Mississippi State. Number 5, Georgia Tech. Number 6, Arkansas. Number 7, Auburn. Number 8, North Carolina. Number 9, Florida. Number 10, Southern Miss. Number 11, Georgia. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 13, NC State. 14, Clemson. 15 Wake Forest, 16 Coastal Carolina, 17 TCU, 18 Oregon State, 19 Tennessee, 20 is Florida State, 21 Kentucky, 22 Texas A&M, 23 West Virginia, 24 Miami, and new to the rankings this week, number 25 UTSA. that is the current top 25. I thought they had a way to look at the RPI on here, and they do. Let's see. No, they don't. Not till March 16th. Okay. Well, okay. I've seen some RPI stuff, but I'm not sure where people are getting it. Like who has already got RPI stuff posted. But all the RPI stuff I've seen so far, Southern Miss is at number 1. Strength of schedule is number 1. So I'm going to talk Southern Miss, because as you can see behind me, that's who I pull for. That's my alma mater, and proud of them. I hear that this is a great start to the season. They had a 11 game win streak up till tonight, and it's time to start another one this weekend. So all right, with that, we'll go ahead and close out the show for tonight. Hope you guys have a fantastic night, a fantastic weekend. Watch college football, college basketball. The tournaments some have already started. We had and the Sun Belt tournament tonight. Women's tournament today. There was a fight between it was Coastal Carolina and Coastal and somebody, whoever they played. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Maybe quicker on my phone. Let's see. South Alabama and Coastal Carolina women's. They had a brawl on the court. A ref was injured. It said she was. What I saw said she was okay. They had 8 ejections in the game. I didn't see benches clearing from the short clip I saw, but yeah, conference tournaments are here. I think they're here for this week and maybe next week before we get into March Madness. But yeah, watch basketball, watch college baseball, and let's support the diamond sports, right? Softball is going on. I've been watching some softball. So go out. Go to a game. They're a lot of fun to go to. It's a fun atmosphere to be in. So yeah, and until next time, guys, have a good week.